Good afternoon, gardening friends. We're back to where I said I was going to try and get serious about planting again. And the first and simplest one that I'm going to do in terms of planting some new seeds is right here where I had the, actually it says Snapdragon on there, but I can see that I had, now that I think of it, actually it's not Snapdragon, is it? I'm looking at the back side of it. Yep, that was the nasturtium. Now, if I'm going to plant anything edible, I want to make sure I plant it in good soil, and so that's why this one is the first. The nasturtium is actually an edible plant, and I pre-soaked some seeds last night so I could plant them. So we're going to go ahead and plant out this white planter first. Okay, so I pre-soaked the seeds last night. I cleaned up the soil, or kind of broke up the top soil in the pot there, because it had developed a crust from not watering it, and I planted 3 seeds in there. So here we are on September 4th. I am now officially recording the fact that I planted a few seeds. When I'm done with all of this, I'll water everything in. Now the next obvious one is going to go to the other nasturtium planter, and I soaked 5 seeds last night. I'll plant the other 2 in there. And that makes 2. So next I got to look at the rest of the pots and figure out which ones I can plant edible seeds in and which ones require something else. Well, as it turns out, going through the whole garden, the nursery and the main garden, it looks like the only one that I really can be assured of as being safe soil to plant something in is this one red pot in the nursery, which says basil on it. I may have to go out and get some more soil at some point. We'll figure that out. But as far as that, what I've been wanting to do, and I haven't done yet, is plant tomato seeds. So last night, while I was enjoying a few tomatoes, I managed to save some of the seeds, and so that's what I'm going to go ahead and put in there. It's like a Roma tomato, not too big, definitely be too big for that pot, but in a little bit after it sprouts and everything, then I can finally transplant it to a larger pot. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. The only other one is that black pot I put together yesterday at the end of, or during episode 34, I think it was. And so that one, I think what I'm going to do, I got a couple more seeds for the purple orchid tree. So I'm going to go, and they're more recent than what I had last year when I tried and I succeeded in getting a plant growing. I'm going to go ahead and plant a couple of seeds maybe in there. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. We'll see what I come up with either later today or sometime tomorrow. Well, good morning, gardening friends. It is now Monday, Labor Day, and I think I've kind of finished up as far as the things that I was thinking yesterday I needed to do. Went out and got a couple more packets of seeds at the dollar store. I got them 4 for $1, so they didn't have a whole lot of seeds in them, but I picked up bachelor buttons and aster, and I pretty much planted those both in every pot that didn't already have something. And the ones that I, after yesterday, figured out I couldn't actually put veggies in. So I really did want to get to planting some tomatoes, and I think the solution there is going to be, well, let me show you. Over on the windowsill, I've changed out the wine bottles, and if you watch episode 35, this is going to be 36. If you watch the previous episode, I basically documented my little experiment in how to build a kid-safe a bottle planter, and it's really just plastic water bottles with the same sort of ingredients. Well, actually I didn't put soil in it, toilet paper. I've done that before, it worked, so that's kind of what I went back to. I put in bean seeds there, and so the plan is I'm going to put the tomatoes in some remaining ones, and with that I pretty much have my garden plan complete, at least for the time being. So that's it for today. Good morning, gardening friends. It's Saturday and it's time for a progress report. I looked around. Honestly, the last few days I've been down with a cold, so I may be talking a little slower than usual. But I looked around today just to make sure everything didn't die on me. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by a few things. So let's take a look around. First of all, we've got one of the pots that I planted with aster and bachelor buttons that is now showing some little bits and pieces. That has me happy to see that. Second, believe it or not, this is the tree that I had transplanted a couple of months ago and noticed last week that it had a few new leaves. Well, it's been growing like gangbusters for the last week, so that's really good news. The only thing is that looking at the leaves, the shape of the leaves, it doesn't appear that this is going to be the magnolia tree that I was hoping. It looks more like a live oak from the shape and serration on the leaves. Next up, we've got the bean, the yellow pole bean, yellow wax bean. That really doesn't look like it's done much more. On the other hand, when they do water around here, I kind of doubt that the water's making it into that pot, so I give it some water this morning and we'll see. I'm just going to try and stay on top of it. Then we have the nursery, and that one doesn't get a lot of water. I even threw some water in it this morning, and I can already see one that's kind of dried out pretty quickly, that brown pot. But if you look at the red pot where I put the Roma tomatoes, I've got sprouts. That has me happy. And finally we have the bottle planters. Unfortunately it looks like the two wax beans that I put in last week, looks like they're rotting and dying. I thought I saw some green, but then it kind of turned brown, so I think there's maybe a little too much water. Plus it's looking like capping them is actually a bad thing. My hope was that with capping them that it would keep the moisture in. I think the moisture is staying in anyway, and capping it is just preventing it from breathing. But to the right of that I have 3 more bottles, which are, I can't remember if I can do this respectively here. I had 3 different cherry tomatoes. One was red, one was yellow, and one was brown. And the one that seems like it's actually making progress is the yellow, which is the second from the right there, which you're probably not going to be able to see too well. But I'm just happy to see something sprouting in there, and yellow cherry tomatoes could be really delicious. So I think that's pretty much it. Since I didn't get out too much this week, there is no picture of the week. And I think that's it. So this is the Budget Gardener signing off, saying may your thumb, even if you got a cold, be green.